Ladies and gentlemen, I only got one thing to say to you. We out here in 2019. We out here in 2019. Ollie's got us on another level, guys. He really, really does. Manchester United, huge win, 3-1. Could not have asked for a better performance considering the fact that we had injuries on top of injuries on top of injuries to go into that match. And we got to see another youth player debut. Absolutely phenomenal. Could not be happier. Could not be happier. Unfortunately, Michael could not join us today. I was trying to get home as early as possible, but we are joined by the one, the only Matthew McFadden. Matthew, how you doing, bro?
I'm doing absolutely sensational. That was such a good game to watch.
Yeah,
we didn't just win; we won so convincingly, and so much better than most of us were expecting.
I mean, Matthew, I'm not going to lie to you. I didn't really get to pay attention to the full match. Like, I'll never lie about that. Because
watching was quite laggy. Let's just say that.
Yes. Because we don't want anything to happen to this stream itself. So, but I watched it from my phone and while I was working.
Yeah.
So it wasn't exactly the greatest of quality. I did watch it from NBC Sports Gold, but you know what? Great victory considering everything. I mean, 3-1, and being realistic, you know, we could have given up a couple of goals, but for the most part, we owned every part of that match. There wasn't really like a doubt of like, oh, you know, maybe we're going to, I will say outside that little like maybe 10-minute period after right about the time they scored their goal, that was where things started getting a little sketch. But at the end of the day, 3-1, 2 goals from Big Rom, who would have thought? And then freaking Ashley Young with a goal. I mean, George Kyle's somewhere just sobbing into his hands. I can tell you that right now.
It's like whenever Luke Shaw plays a good game.
Be in by like 4, so we can. Sorry, I gotta read this. I gotta read this text really quick, Matthew. So guys, just real quick, so you can get a little bit of update on my life. Not only am I working my job, but I'm also working real estate, and my clients closed on their house today. So congratulations to them. We give round of applause for that. Because once again, we out here in 2019. Ollie's in charge, baby. Ollie's in charge. He's playing on another level. So Matthew, give me your initial thoughts on the match. I gotta know while I read through this text really quick.
I was genuinely shocked at how it went. We were, for a team that had, Greenwood aside, 9 first-team players out, including 5 of the midfield and attack, or at least the starting midfield and attack. We just did so well. It was unbelievable. Lukaku, I mean, his build-up wasn't great, but we're not really going to judge him based on that. We're going to judge him on the fact that he scored 2 goals and had a big say in the 3rd goal as well. Ashley Young, obviously made a terrible, terrible mistake leading up to Crystal Palace's goal. But you know what? He redeemed himself by getting the 3rd. And that's what we want to see. If someone makes a mistake, then go do something good and you'll redeem yourself. But Delon on the right wing was absolutely fantastic. He was, getting past his man for absolute days. And that run to set up Lukaku's first goal from Luke Shaw was just unbelievable as well.
Yes.
McTominay, I've criticised him to the moon and back, and I still think he's a bit of a bang average player. But to be fair to the boy, he's actually put in some good performances recently. He's done what's needed of him, and really he stopped a lot of that attacking Crystal Palace because they were playing such a narrow formation. It wasn't even like a 4-4-2. It was just a sort of, I don't even know what it was. It was like a really narrow midfield 3 or midfield 4, depending on when in the game it was. And he just shut out most of the attack, so fair play to him.
And, I mean, so from the performances that I saw, particularly that I saw, because for the most part, I was essentially listening to the match like it was a radio show.
Yeah.
What the names that really stood out to me were Romelu Lukaku, Dalot, And then the other name that stood out was actually Luke Shaw. I heard
the brilliant game from him.
Yes. Well, and that attacking run forward, I actually watched that all unfold. And what a run by Luke Shaw. Like, genuinely, what a run. And then the perfect assist from him. Like, perfect layoff, and then Rom, cool as you like, put it into the basically bottom right corner. Like, couldn't have asked for much more from that. So I'm stoked up about the entire performance from the team. I mean, to get the chance to see what happened, despite the fact that we had all these injuries, you know, I don't know what else we could have asked for. I mean, 3-1? 3-1? Like, I guarantee you that most people would have probably thought it was either going to be a scrappy, like, 1-0, or it was going to wind up being a draw. Like, Crystal Palace are a tough opposition. And like I said, we pretty much handled them. Without a question. So, Matthew, let's go ahead. Let's move on to this next little section, because we do tend to talk about players in depth once we get into this part. So let's go ahead. Let's get into our player ratings for today. So let's start off with the man himself, David De Gea. I mean, didn't have a lot to do today, but he did make a couple of good saves. I would say that the goal that went in, really nothing could have been done about it. And, you know, pretty much I'm pretty happy with the way Dave played today. What are you going to give him?
I think it was quite a weird one for De Gea, because, I mean, a lot of people now talk about goalkeeping ability and they include distribution in that. Personally, I don't really. However, some of De Gea's passing was quite dodgy, to say the least, but he didn't really make any mistakes. He gave a few shots, did really what was asked of him. I think we all had the heart in the mouth, though, when he collided with the post and sort of stayed down for a few minutes. I think that's the last thing that we need right now. But luckily for every single Man United fan across the world, he got back up and, just did his job. So I'd maybe say a 6 out of 10, maybe a 7.
So I was going to go with a 7. And it's partially because he did make a couple of good saves, and he's really starting to come into his own more and more in terms of like his distribution. And you're noticing it more. There was one time today that he gave the ball away pretty easily, which is going to happen. Like every goalkeeper has it happen. But I mean, it really stood out. And then, but after that, I mean, his distribution was really good. Like I said, there was one save in particular that he made from on Zaha that was questionable about whether it was going to be in or not. And he wound up just saving it anyways, and it was actually a pretty decent save if you ask my opinion. So I'm more than happy to give De Gea a 7. If you guys want to get your ratings read out on the show, I know we don't have a lot of people watching today, considering the fact it's a little bit later, but it's okay. We still want to get people's ratings read out if they're going to be here on the show with me. So, Jay Hart, I saw that you gave De Gea a 6 because of the no clean sheet, but it was a quiet day for him. Sav said Ashley Young's fault on the Crystal Palace goal, which, it was very much so Ashley Young's fault. Vandy said De Gea 6. Jay Hart said, I think he hit his funny bone when he banged the post in that stupid pass from the knee jerk. Yeah. No, I know what you're talking about, Jay Hart. And then Saab did say De Gea 7. So we go ahead, we move on, and we go to Ashley Young, who Ashley Young had a goal today, was at fault for the goal, so I guess he made up for it if you want to put the quotes around it. So, Matthew, I mean, all things considering, how would you rate Ashley Young today?
I'm going to give him a 7 out of 10, just for his mentality alone, because Ashley Young's obvious that he's not really a good footballer, or he's not a good fullback by any means, and he was directly at fault for that Crystal Palace goal. However, he completely made up for that by getting the third goal. And to be fair, there was maybe a slight hint of fortune in that goal, but still he got up the other end and redeemed himself. So I've got to credit to him for that. And I think defensively he wasn't too shoddy. Going forward, he wasn't amazing though, but just for getting that goal, I'm going to give him a 7 out of 10.
That's fair. That's fair. I was going to give him a 6 because it would have been a 5 had it not been for the goal. But I give him the 6 for the goal.
Yep.
And then all things considering, I mean, defensively, he did his job for the most part. He did give up the goal. I mean, every defender is going to do something that leads to a goal. It's just the truth. It's going to happen from time to time. And I will say this. Doesn't it seem like Ashley Young always is at fault for a goal in like the most random of like low-key matches, which by the way, Mr. Exclusive, good to see you, man. Happy to have you here. But isn't it weird to see like that he always manages like against a Crystal Palace or against a Fulham, he'll be at fault for a goal.
Yeah, it always happens. Like it doesn't really happen too much in the big games, but yeah, in those games against teams like Huddersfield, Crystal Palace, Brighton, whatever. I don't know what it is with him. He just doesn't seem to have the mentality to really do well against the smaller teams. But to be fair, it wasn't a terrible performance by any means.
Well, and I think that maybe what it is that a lot of the smaller teams have more pacey wingers because they need to hit on the counters. And you go against a big team, Mohamed Salah, like when he was playing on the left last year, I mean, yeah, he is pretty quick, but Ashley Young, for the most part, can keep pace with him. And also, it's the fact that it's a big game, so your mentality goes up to another level. So, I mean, that could play into it. But
I think it could be from the fact that big teams tend to have their wingers cutting inside.
That too.
So really, there's only a minute they're actually going to be wide, and therefore Ashley Young's that specific marker. So when they cut inside, you've got the fullback and the defensive midfield covering him. So maybe he's kind of helped out by that. But yeah, I mean, today he wasn't. So can't really complain too much.
Yeah, and the one thing I will say again, because I know I mentioned it in the last review, doesn't it seem like in the preview, I said it in the preview, doesn't it seem like Ashley Young's passing, like it continues to go down and down in terms of quality?
Yeah.
Like
all the time, every single game, his passing just seems to get worse and worse. I don't know what's happening to him.
And it's just, we did get to see Delo out there today, and getting to see Delo and the way that he was able to play passes. I mean, I'm waiting to see him actually start at the right back spot, because we were talking about before the show, will we actually ever see Delo just play right wing like full time? Because it's something that we think could happen, but I just look at the right back spot, and it would just be way too perfect to have him actually fit in at that right back spot, considering the fact of where the modern game is going. Matthew, let's move on. Actually, no, I'm sorry. I have to read my fans' comments. So Vandy Candy said Young 6. Chris McTeague said Young 5. J Hart said I still give Young a 5, even with that goal. He was bossed around by Zaha today. Yeah, that is true. Saab said Young 6. You know what? That is it. That is it. So we will call it there. Let's go and move on to Chris Smalling, who once again, him and Victor Lindelof are putting together quite a bit of a team at that center back partnership right now, and it seems like they really feed well off of each other. How do you rate Chris Smalling today?
Yeah, they just seem to be absolutely bossing it as a combination. You've got, Chris Smalling, who is a defender and nothing else. Like, he can't play from the back whatsoever. Pace isn't amazing. But then you've got Lindelof, who's just that really calm, composed defender who just has every single thing that Smalling doesn't. So as far as the partnership is concerned, they're doing so well at the moment. It's actually good to see a consistent, defensive partnership. Yeah, Chris Smalling, I'd give him a 7 out of 10. Don't think he had an amazing game. I don't think he was tested all that much. I think Zaha was really the only player who actually gave us problems, but that's because he was young side. Yeah, Chris Smalling just a decent solid game from him, so 7 out of 10.
Yeah, and honestly, that's exactly what I was thinking too. I was thinking 7 out of 10. I mean, if Chris, and this is something that a lot of people have talked about, if Chris can really get better at distribution, I really believe he could make it back into the England squad playing for an Ollie Manchester United side. You know, we all want Eric Bailly to succeed. We really do. But it does seem like Eric Bailly might be on his way out. As unfortunate as that is, I don't think that as young as he is, he's going to want to hang around and be a backup. So, I mean, I would still like to see the partnership of Bailly and Lindelof. I would like to see it a few more times, but just this partnership between Smalling and Lindelof, it seems too perfect. So I'm giving Smalling a 7. So let's go ahead. Let's see what you guys have to say about Chris Smalling today. Chris McTeague said Smalling 7. Jay Hart said, I give Smalling an average 7. Didn't do too much, but still solid defensively. Vandy said Smalling 8. He covers up for the long ball, which that is true. Saab said Smaldini 7. Didn't put a foot wrong, but wasn't really challenged, which that is a great way to put his performance down. Moata said Smalling 7. Good partner for Vic, but we need better on the ball. I do agree with that. I would still be interested to see if we are going to go get the likes of Koulibaly or somebody at the center back spot in the summer to start along Victor Lindelof, because I think if you build up a partnership between Victor and somebody else that can also play the ball well, you know, I still am all in on Harry Maguire, somebody that's English, is relatively young, can really build with Victor, and definitely can play the ball well. So I'm still personally all in on Harry Maguire, and that I think I'm up to 144-inch flat screen TV of a forehead. So, I mean, that's just me though. That's all a matter of opinion, but that's just me. But let's see here. Just want to make sure I didn't miss anybody else. All right, so it looks like that's everybody. I mean, so actually, Matthew, might as well talk about it really quick because we'll have a little bit of extra time. You know, what center back would you really love to see brought into Manchester United, if any?
I'd say Koulibaly from Napoli, gets Napoli, because he seems to be like a mix of Smalling and Bailly, and that he's, you know, an absolute brute force like Smalling, but seems to be a very, very good, you know, proper defender like Bailly as well.
Mm.
So yeah, I think in terms of, you know, partnerships as well, I think he'd be absolutely brilliant. Then there's guys like De Ligt, who, to be fair, I don't think he'll join whatsoever. I think he'll probably go to Barcelona because they've got Piqué, who's sort of getting on a bit. Could even go to Real Madrid too, but yeah, I'd probably say Koulibaly's the best choice. I think Skriniar is staying at Inter Milan now. I think he's set to sign a new contract, so the possibility of him joining United seems to be getting lower and lower, so sort of paves the way for us to get Koulibaly.
You know, that is an interesting point. I mean, Koulibaly would be like, I wouldn't be unhappy with Koulibaly. I really wouldn't. But I think that talking about, you know, who's available, I mean, if we could go get De Ligt, or De Ligt, or however you say it, I think it was. I think when we had Sander on, he told us how to say it. It was like De Ligt, if I remember correctly.
Something like that.
Yeah, but I'm an American, so I can use the excuse of that. But he's the guy that I would ultimately really love to bring in. Somebody that young that has that much experience, is already captaining his side, and can do what he does. That's the ultimate dream. But I think that either Koulibaly or Harry Maguire will be the likely of the two to see come in. And like Jay Hart did say, Maguire will be teaming up with Brendan Rodgers, so he'll be desperate to leave, which is very, very true. That is very true.
To be fair, I think he's a perfect player from Brendan Rodgers.
I
won't go too far into it, but he's a ball-playing centre-back, good from corners, exactly what Brendan Rodgers had at Celtic. So, yeah, I think he'll probably stay there.
Yeah, I mean, probably. I mean, but at the end of the day, I'll take him. like I've said before on this show,
I still would, but yeah, I don't think it's going to happen anymore.
I've said it before on this show that I think that Manchester United have a history of having the best English center back on the team.
Yeah, that's true.
And I think it's pretty hard to argue that Harry Maguire is not the best English center back at the moment.
Probably is at the moment. Maybe John Stones. But yeah, it's probably one of those two players, and obviously we're not going to get John Stones.
Yeah, who would want that guy anyways? His last name is Stones. Like, come on. Ugh.
John Pitt.
Like, ugh. Just drop him in the water. But anyways, by the way, Ari Hill, I really appreciate that. Ari Hill said, come on, give this Red Beard 1,000 subs. I would love that, maybe one day. Maybe one day. But, for now, I'm happy just talking with you guys. Rather cool to Bolly Maguire. And Sav, that's fair. All a matter of opinion. So let's go ahead, Matthew. Let's move on to Victor Lindelof. Victor Lindelof put in another Iceman-like performance. How would you rate him today?
Yeah, it was just another, he didn't really put a foot wrong, but again, wasn't tested too much, kind of like Smalling. But yeah, I'd give him another 7 out of 10 as a partnership. They worked really, really well.
And the 7 out of 10, once again, it's appropriate because, like you said, neither one of them were really tested today. I mean, despite the fact that, if you get into the stats a little bit for this match, I mean, we had 54% possession of their 46. I'm sorry, it'd be 55 to 45, basically. We had 4 shots on target to their 2, 13 total shots to their 17, 631 touches to their 571, 470 passes to their 372. We had 20 tackles each team. We had 15 clearances to their 14. We had 6 corners to their 5. And we weren't offsides today, guys. There's a big positive. We were not offsides. So, Victor Lindelof, I mean, despite the fact that they did get a few shots off, there was nothing that was really threatening other than the goal. And then there was one shot in particular that I'm thinking of in the first half where they came down the left wing and they put in a pass, and the pass, like, basically it would have been deflected from the player up into the top left corner, but it wound up going over the net. So, I think that Lindelof today, very solid 7. And, he really does bring a calming presence to that back 4. So we love you, Vic. We really do. Let's see here. Jay Hart brings up a great point. 28 more subs till 500, which that is fantastic because once we do get to 500, we get full-time face cam from Matthew. It's true.
Well, I've got a haircut on Saturday. I'm preparing for this moment.
He's been preparing for this moment all of his life. That's what he told me.
I was born in face cam.
Yes, I have heard that. I have heard that, and I've seen it too. I've seen it. Yeah. But let's real quick. Let's read the ratings out for people. So Vandy Candy said 8.5 for Victor for his passing. Sav said Lindelof 7.2, also not challenged, but no big mistakes. Chris McTeague said Lindelof 7.5, solid in defense and good at bringing the ball out of defense. So obviously, we do halves. I've given Lindelof more than Smaldini, but not a full point. So, I mean, the 7.5 is fair. I mean, like, if you want to get, like, we allow half ratings. So, yeah, I mean, 7.5 is a fair one because Sav upped his rating. And then Moada said Iceman 8. So, yes, awesome. Lindelof for me was class as always. Happy to have him in the team, and I feel like we're really getting to see a true center back pairing forming in front of our eyes at the moment, which is awesome to see. But Matthew, let's go ahead. Let's move on to Luke Shaw. How are you going to rate Luke Shaw today?
He's actually getting some consistency, which is really, really good. See, that used to be the thing that I think most of us criticised. Like, you'd have one game where, he gets forward a lot, does really well on both ends of the pitch, and then he'll have another game where his passing is just awful, his defensive position is poor, but the last few games he's put in really good matches. And that run to set up Lukaku's goal was just nothing short of exceptional.
Yeah.
to be fair, he didn't get forward many times, but when he did, he was just so effective.
Mm-hmm.
And defensively, again, pretty solid. So Shaw, definitely our best defender. So 8 out of 10, or at least one rating higher than what you'd normally give the other defenders.
So, I mean, you know what? That's a good way to put it. He definitely was our best defender on the day. And like Matthew said, he did not get forward often, but I did hear him mentioned frequently in terms of defensively. But when he did get forward, he was effective in his times that he did get forward. So I do feel like Luke Shaw has to be given an 8 at the very least, just for the assist. So, I mean, that assist was absolutely phenomenal. The run that he had to make, I mean, it's the reason why we love seeing Martial out there, because it felt like a run that Martial would have made. So, 8 for me. Let's see what you guys have to say for Luke Shaw. So, Jay Hart, really, really quick, I did want to read this out. Victor had to keep shouting at Fred to move forward. He needs a good rating for being a better captain than Ashley Young. You know what? I mean, that's a very fair statement that he's leading the team more and more. Saab said agreed on almost everything being about almost everyone being a better captain than Young. It's probably true. But then Jay Hart did say, I give Shaw an 8. There were a couple of mistakes in the second half, but a great first half for him, which that's absolutely true. Chris McTeague said Shaw an 8.5 for me. Saban, you did say 3-1 United. I do remember that.
Saban predicted it correctly. Some man.
Yeah, some man. Saban gets an extra special shout out for that.
I remember looking at that prediction thinking, well, that's a bit ambitious, but perfect.
Yeah. It was. I mean, perfect scoreline. It's not like it's not very often that we get a perfect score. Well, that's not true. I mean, I make perfect scorelines almost every single time, but not.
It's not true.
It's not true. But I picked the perfect score. It's just that the team doesn't agree with me always. It's exactly what it is.
In 2019, we predict the scores.
Exactly.
And they just don't deliver.
Exactly. I don't know. I don't know what's up with them, Matthew. I can't. I just can't. But let's move on to keep grading people's ratings. So Saban said Shaw 9. Van de Candy said Shaw 9. Defensively solid again. And assist, which is a bonus. Yeah, very true. Moata said Shaw 8. Great performance. Would have been a 9 if not for conceding. Yeah, that's a good way to put it. And then Sav did say Shaw's better at taking on players, cutting inside and passing and crossing the ball, or he's getting better. So 8.5 for Shaw from them for Sav. And then, I think that Shaw was definitely in contention for man of the match. Didn't get it for me personally, but was definitely in contention. So Matthew, let's move on to somebody we were talking about a little bit earlier. Scott McTominay, apparently, from what I've heard, like I said, I didn't really get to, his name wasn't really called out much today. But from what I've seen on the social medias, apparently Scott really had a great match today. So how are you going to rate Scott McTominay?
It's just weird to give him Scott McTominay a score other than 6 out of 10. Like today he had the role of not really being like a midfielder as much, rather than just a stopper, like stopping Crystal Palace's attacks. And for the most part, he actually did quite well at that. Distribution was okay, nothing amazing, but it was a very sort of professional performance. He did what was asked of him, and you can't really complain with that. Don't think it was like a spectacular performance, but just very, very solid. So give him a 7 out of 10. Possibly even an 8. I could understand an 8, but for me, 7.
So I was going to give him a 7 because from when I was able to be looking at my phone, I did notice that it's exactly what people have talked about with Scott McTominay in the past, that he is a player that keeps it simple, and he's a perfect Matic replacement, that he can get in, break up the play, and then make a simple pass. And that's basically what you need from a CDM. The fact that he's tall just adds a little bit extra something to him. But, I'll happily give him a 7 out of 10 because just for the simple fact that, I mean, geez, the guy like has been criticized by almost everybody, including both Matthew and I on this show. And I still ultimately do not think that he is good enough for Manchester United. But the fact that he's putting in these good performances like this, I mean, I hope they continue, and I hope that he proves us wrong. I hope that he proves to be the next great CDM for Manchester United. I really do. But let's go ahead.
I still think he's championship quality at the moment, but let's just enjoy the decent run of form that he's on.
Exactly.
That's all we can do.
Exactly. So let's go ahead. Let's get to your guys' rating. So Chris McTeague said Scott 7 for me. Good game. Jay Hart said Scott gets a 7 today. He wasn't the key player, but did his job. Sav said McTominay played tough, made some good passes, and wasn't afraid to mix it up. So 7.5. Vandy Candy said McTominay 7. Did Matic's job perfectly. Moata said McTominay 6 out of position too often. Grew into the game and made some nice forward passes in the second half. I mean, that's a good way to put it. And then Saban said McTominay 7. Darren Fletcher wasn't world class, but was there when needed. Jay Hart, phenomenal comment. Phenomenal comment. That's and ultimately, if you were to tell me in the summer we could go get N'Golo Kante, I'd do it all day long. If you told me this summer we can go get Ruben Neves, I'd do it all day long. But
I'd get Ruben Neves any day of the week.
Yeah, any day of the week I would go get Ruben Neves. Like Ruben is ultimately probably the guy I would go get, maybe even before N'Golo Kante. But I know that might be controversial, but I would take both if I could. If I could. It's not possible, but I would if I could. I can do it on FIFA. I can do it on FIFA. So maybe I'll go.
You can do it in real life.
It's true.
Yeah. Know that that's how it works.
We all know that FIFA is real life. It's true, Matthew. It is very true. But let's go ahead. Let's move on to further up in the midfield. Fred had a decent game today. I mean, I would say he was probably average, but considering the fact that he has been so poor in the past, I think it makes his performance look that much better. I mean, how are you going to rate him today?
I'm going to completely disagree and say that Fred was rubbish. I've got a theory, right? And I'm not sure if I've said it here, but I've said it on Twitter many times. 2 years ago, Fred got done for doping in Ukraine, and he had to get, like a 6 month ban from any football activity. I just think he's built a career based on that. I think in Ukraine and Russia, obviously, you hear the stories so often about people taking drugs to, performance enhancing drugs. I just think he's turned himself into a 50 million player because of that. Don't get me wrong, regardless of if he was taking those or not, he'd still be a decent player, but he's nowhere near what, the midfielder that we actually thought we were getting. £50 million right now just looks like an absolute waste of money, if I'm not going to lie. I just think there's something about him that we've not really seen. We've not seen what he's all about. Is he a defensive midfielder? Is he, a playmaker? Is he someone who's going to get forward? Is he a box to box? I've got no idea when it comes to Fred. I think there's only so many times that you can put in these subpar performances before you really start to have to think, right, is he what we actually need? And don't get me wrong, I'd probably keep him for the next season, but he's really, really at the moment not helping my case. I'd probably give him this sounds very, very harsh, but I'd give him a generous 5 because actually, I don't know if he was on for the whole game. I've completely forgotten. But his passing was,
he wasn't on for the whole match.
Yeah, his passing was just, I think that was his biggest weakness today. There was times where he just passed into like thin air. And you're thinking, what are you trying with that? He was just so frustrating in the midfield. But yeah, 5 out of 10.
That's fair. I'm just going to give him an average 6. I think that ultimately, from the times that I was watching, it seemed like he was trying to keep his game more simple today, which, I mean, for the fact that we were playing pretty much a 4-2-3-1, I think that speaks volumes, that he was probably told to stay a little bit further back, keep the game simple, get forward when you can, but don't press yourself too much, and just don't get yourself out of position. And I thought that he did an okay job at that. But let's go ahead. Let's see what you guys have to say about Fred. I think this will be very interesting to see. So Jay Hart did say better no. He gets a 3 from me. All players around him were shouting at him to move. He looked like a headless chicken there, which that's fair. And because I couldn't really hear what was going on like too well in terms of like what the players were saying. All I heard was the announcers. So Moata said Fred 6. Check the man's passport. He can't be Brazilian. That's a pretty funny comment. I like that. Fred 2.5 was Fred 2.5 was good for me. 7. Okay, I get what you're saying. So basically, second half was good. So he gets a 7. Sobs, I think you're saying it gets a 5. Chris McTeague said Fred was average 6. Bandy Candy said Fred needs more game time. Let's not jump to an opinion like we did with Lindelof. Not good today, average 5. And like JR said, we have had bad luck with Brazilians, which that is very true. Jay Hart, Saab did say it took him a long time to settle into the match, and so he gets a 5. Okay, got you. That makes more sense. Let's see here. So it looks like everybody. So let's go ahead. Let's move on to our guy. Paul Pogba, he's really filling in a lot of spots right now. And he didn't necessarily have the greatest of games, but you could really see that like he's trying to do 3 roles right now instead of just his, 1 to 2 roles that he typically will have in a game. So it comes down to injury ultimately, but Matthew, how are you going to rate Paul Pogba today?
It just seems to be wherever Pogba's on the pitch, the ball just seems to gravitate around that area. Like we always seem to play where Paul Pogba is, and in this game he played on the right hand side of midfield. Linking up with Ashley on less so, but more so with Diogo Dalot, and it looked really really good. And I think this was a point brought up by the United stands in their post-match reaction stream. And what Mark was saying was, I think Ole's noticed that Pogba and Sanchez don't work in the same side because they're clashing in terms of Pogba wants to get in that left-hand channel, and Alexis Sanchez just constantly cuts inside, and they're playing 2 very similar roles. So Pogba playing on the right-hand side of the midfield 3 seemed to work a lot better, despite Alexis Sanchez still being terrible. But as soon as Sanchez got taken off for Rashford, someone has actually got pace and will go down the byline and will cut inside at the last minute as opposed to constantly cutting inside early. He switched Pogba to the left-hand side, and it seemed to have worked a lot better. So it wasn't really, an amazing performance by Pogba. He didn't really have too much output in terms of creating these clear-cut chances or anything, but just a really, really solid game for him. So 7 out of 10.
So,
which, to be fair, is to some extent a little bit disappointing. That just shows how amazing he's been recently. That 7 out of 10 is sort of, a little bit quiet for his standards.
Yeah, that's a great way to put it, Matthew. So this is for me. I look at the performance he put in, and he really was doing the role of 3 people while at the same time kind of playing out of position. So for me, I'm going to give Paul Pogba a 7.5 out of 10. I don't like to typically give half ratings, but I give him a 7.5, and here's the reason why. He helped out a lot defensively, and like Matthew mentioned, with him playing kind of more on the right-hand side, he really linked up play well with Dalot, Young, everybody on that right-hand side. Teams really do pay attention to what Paul Pogba is doing, and like Matthew did mention, wherever the ball goes, it does seem like Paul Pogba is right there. So for me, that says everything we need to know about who Paul Pogba is now, and that's that he is the man for Manchester United. He is the guy we go to, and he's the guy we trust. So Paul Pogba, 7.5. Let's see what you guys have to say about Paul Pogba. So Vandy Candy said Pogba 7, did enough to run the midfield and link up with Lukaku. Chris McTeague said 7.5 for Pogba. Moata said Pogba, no rating. He's on a different level. That is fair, Mo. Saban said Pogba 8. Sav said Pogba 8 for putting in a solid job on the right, which is not where he typically plays, and then getting an assist once Sanchez came off, and he could play on the left again. Listen, I ultimately, and we'll get into it with Sanchez, but I think that Sanchez might not be starting in the next match almost no matter what, even if Martial, everybody is still out. Just my opinion, though. Let's see here. So Jay Hart said Pogba is 7. He helped a lot moving the ball forward. Let's see here. Anybody else? Hillian from Norway. Ollie has to be given the job. What a result with the injuries and all. We can really hope for a good future in the next season with Ollie. Can't wait. John Seth, fantastic comment, man. Fantastic comment. George Kyle is in the chat, ladies and gentlemen. I love it when George joins in.
His actual young alarm was a bit late, but look, at least he's still here.
Yeah, he's still here. It's just that his ears started ringing a little bit too late. That's all it is. Jay Hart, you're probably right. Doug is probably grinning after that win from Liverpool. Probably my brother too.
Virgil van Dijk on a hat trick as well.
Let's see here. Yeah, it's John. We actually did talk about that yesterday. That the rumor came out that he had gotten out of the hotel. So I think that it's only a matter of time before he's handed the job full time. So Matthew, let's go ahead. Let's get into our attackers today. Let's start with Dalot, who really, I mean, you were mentioning it before that you think that he might just be a right winger. So how are you going to rate him for today?
I'm all tempted to give him man of the match under the circumstance because he's a fullback. Yet he got played in a front three, so not even like a wide midfielder, like a right-sided forward. And yeah, George, I agree with you. Fred looks like he's never seen a football in his life. But yeah, Dalot on the right wing. The thing with Dalot is I think he knows that he's not really the quickest player in the world, but he's got a good level of acceleration, and he knows that he can get past his man. So what he seems to do whenever he's on, further in like advanced areas of the pitch, he gets the ball, wait a couple of seconds, draws his man in, and he knows that he can get past him, and he'll just hit the ball, or just knock the ball past him and completely takes him out of the game. And we saw that over and over again today. He was getting past his man like it was no tomorrow, and putting in some really good crosses too. There was one chance for Lukaku that it was Pogba. It was an absolutely inch-perfect cross, like perfect head type that Pogba really should have scored, but he blazed the header over the bar. But yeah, it was another brilliant performance from him. So I'd say because he didn't really have an assist and didn't have an amazing impact over the whole game, I give him a 7, but could easily be an 8 of 10.
That's a tough one, Matthew, because like you mentioned, I heard Dalot's name mentioned a lot on the video. So yeah. For me, I would probably give Dalot a 7.5 for what I saw, because he did put in good crosses, and but honestly, for kind of coming in and playing right wing when right wing really isn't his designed position, really did a great job. So Dalot, I'll give him a 7.5. 7.5.
That Fulham game that under Jose, the 4-1, which was Dalot's Premier League debut, and
yes.
All he did was just put in amazing cross after amazing cross. It's kind of like that with him. Like, he just had such a constant presence in the right wing. It's just so good to see.
Yeah.
We actually might see a bit of versatility from him. Like, he can obviously play as a fullback, but him playing in front three, should we get more injuries in the future, could rely on him doing a job in the right wing. So that's even better.
Well, Arthur apparently really liked Dalot's performance. I just heard him, howl basically at that.
I don't speak dog, but I'm pretty sure that's a man of the match performance.
For probably from Arthur, that would sound maybe like a man of the match performance from Arthur. So, but let's go ahead. Let's get to your guys' rating. So Vandy Candy did say Dalot 7. He can be a brilliant potential wing back. Yeah, I think that he really does have the potential to be whatever he wants on that right-hand side. For me, Dalot, so Moana said Dalot 7. He surprised me. Very promising performance. Jay Hart said, for me, Delo gets 6.5. He was trying hard up front, but it's not the best position for him, which that is a really good way to put it. Sav did say that Delo gets a 7.5. Seeing him up front was a surprise. He had a nice step over, and that cross to Pogba was one of the few good ones. Extra credit for playing out of position. Yeah, absolutely. And like Doug just said, and I meant to mention at the beginning of the stream, the unbeaten run against Crystal Palace does continue for Manchester United. So great job.
The stats I've heard, because Crystal Palace always give us a really good game, but they just don't seem to be quite good enough.
They can't put the final product together. They just can't. But Matthew, let's go ahead. Let's move on to the guy that just. It's so disappointing, but we can't continue to run him out there and let him think that what he's doing is okay, because like it just, his performances are crap. He really doesn't offer a lot, and it's just disappointing. All things considering, how are you going to rate Alexis Sanchez today?
I mean, let's not focus on him too much. Let's focus more on the positives. But Sanchez today, completely anonymous, didn't do anything. Terrible in the left wing, even without Pogba interfering in his position. 4 out of 10.
Yeah.
So just move up quick as possible.
Fair enough. You know what? 4 out of 10 for me too. I mean, actually, you know what? I'm going to be more harsh. I'm going to give him a 3 out of 10 because in a game where we need Alexis Sanchez to step up even more than he has been, or hasn't been, I should say.
Liverpool. I've completely forgotten if he did.
He did play against Liverpool for like the last 40 minutes, last 55 minutes, basically.
Oh yeah, because he came off for Lingard, wasn't it?
Yep.
Yeah. So he's in a terrible performance like that, where people are who were sort of neutral on Sanchez, saying, "Yeah, let's get rid of him now," and he's put in another terrible performance where he doesn't really have a position. In a few days, he's getting 400 grand.
It's kind of crazy to think about. We really do need to get rid of him. We need to get rid of him. We cannot continue this way. In all honesty, I would genuinely prefer to start Chong on the right and then start Delo on the left, who isn't even a natural left back, let alone left winger. That's how bad I think Alexis Sanchez has been. Start Angel Gomez and Tahith Chong on either side. That would probably be better. It would probably be better because they're at least stay in their position. Like, I you know what? I heard Fellaini. I would have preferred to have sold Sanchez and kept Fellaini. Who would have thought you would have said that? Well, I'm sorry. What was that, Matthew?
At least Fellaini actually has a use.
Yeah. It's just you know what, but like
has the gypsies.
I mean, like you said, Matthew, I mean, we let's try not to focus too much on the negative. Let's go ahead and let's read what other people are having to say, and we'll move on from Sanchez quickly. So Vandy Candy said Sanchez 3, move on quickly. Mohada said skip Alexis 0. Jay Hart said I give Sanchez a 2.5 for the best paid player in the Premier League. He didn't even play at a championship level. Chris McTeague said Sanchez 4. George Kyle said Sanchez is dreadful. He needs to go. Yes, absolutely. Sav said Sanchez 3. He loses points for forcing Pogba to move out to the right, which hurt the attack. Sanchez made $21.2 million since he signed for Manchester United, said Jay Hart. That really puts a lot into perspective. It really puts a lot into perspective. Wow. Anyways, let's move on. We got to move on. Let's move on to the guy that I consider the man of the match today, because he did step up in a big way. Michael did want me to tell you, shh, to all the Lukaku haters. I disagree with that. I think we still have reason to be down on him. But the goals that he scored today, and especially his second one, that is a confidence builder. That's the kind of goal that can lead to better things in the very near future. So let's hope that this performance is the kind that will continue to make him better going into the future and make him into the player we need him to be. So, Matthew, how do you rate Romelu Lukaku?
Yeah, I still think he's a bad footballer, but he did exactly what was needed of him today. 2 goals, and even though he is a poor footballer, he'll get you goals across the season. Like, I don't was going to argue with that. So again, a very, very solid game, and I give him an 8 out of 10. I think it's either him, Shaw, or Delota gets man of the match for me.
I mean, for me, I'm actually going to give Rom a 9, and here's the reason why. We needed someone to step up in this match and score goals for us. And that's exactly what Romelu Lukaku did. You know, for all the crap that I give him, I feel like I'm obligated to really call him out when he does well for us. So, for me, I give him a 9 in man of the match because he stepped up and in a big way scored 2 good goals for us. 2 goals that we desperately needed because we needed to come out of this game with a win. We needed to come out of this match with a win, and we came out of it with a win. There's really not much more you could ask for. So, I mean, I get that I get his first touch is still crap. I get that. I still want him to be sold. So honestly, what he did is he just increased his transfer wage by a little bit just by doing that right there. So thank you, Rob, for that at least.
He can't actually still score goals.
So, I mean, at the very least, like Matthew just said, at least he showed he could still score goals. So let's go ahead. Let's see what you guys rate Big Rom today. So let's see here. Even bad players can have good games. Let's not forget the ball he put into the parking lot inside the first 5 minutes. Yeah, I was obviously I gave him some stick for that, and the fact that I know for a fact Greenwood would have scored that goal. Like 100% Mason Greenwood would have tapped that in.
And see, if you're playing the Crystal Palace against Man United game again, and about 10 minutes ago I saw that chance because I didn't see it at the time. What was he doing? It was a free corner. Like, we never score from corners, and it just seems to be a curse. But any other footballer, even like Chris Smalling or whatever, would have easily scored that.
Yeah.
I don't get how he managed to, hit it. He's probably fallen into Glasgow as we speak.
Yeah, I actually heard rumors that it's made its way all the way out to Arizona, Matthew. I mean,
I can't confirm that, but I wouldn't put it past him. Wouldn't put it.
I mean, but real talk though. He did do everything he needed to do today. Like, I get that he didn't like that first one. He skied over. And let's be real. Like I said, not everybody can be perfect every time. So he did make up for it in a big way, but he should have had a hat trick today, which would have given him a 10 out of 10 and an easy man of the match. Let's see here. So Jay Hart did say this was Lukaku's best game this season, 9 out of 10. He's the best backup striker. Possibly, Jay Hart. That's very possible. Big Red Raw Machine, 9.5, contributed in all 3 goals. Vandy, fantastic point. Let's see here. Moata said Big Rom, 9, 2 goals involved in the third. Let's see here. Anybody else? So George Kyle said Lukaku was the exact definition of a stopped clock today, which is right twice a day with his goals, a 7. George Kyle, that was a fantastic comment. I really, really did love that. But we'll move on quickly. Sav says I gave Rom a 9 and man of the match 2. Fair play to him. He put in a hell of a shift today. Chris McTeague said Lukaku 10 out of 10 for finishing. 1 out of 10 for build-up play, but did the business today, so I'll give him a 7. Moata did say yes and man of the match. Let's see here. Anybody else? I do some Vince so Young showing why he's the best right back in the Premier League. Yikes, Vince. Yikes. But this is what Vince. I do like you coming in with the controversial comment because we all know that Vince Russo is the controversial of controversy. But Matthew, we got one more person to get to. What's that?
We love a hot take in a Red Beard channel.
Oh, we do. We do love a hot take. We really, really do.
A good spicy opinion.
And we'll take the spicy opinions. So Matthew, we got one more person to get to because ultimately the subs really didn't do much. By the way, congratulations, James Gardner again. on coming on, being Matthew, if I heard correctly, you said the 230th academy graduate to play for Manchester United?
Yeah, 230th academy graduate goes to Jimmy Garner. And that makes it so, I don't know the exact percentage, but it's not too far away from 50% of all Manchester United players in history to be academy graduates.
That's awesome.
You know, maybe apart from teams like Ajax, I don't know any club that can ever compete with that.
At least not a big club.
Yeah. Yeah, like Ajax is probably the only other big club out there, and Barcelona maybe, who can compete with that. But every other club, you know, who's got that record to boast? I know it doesn't mean anything in terms of winning titles, but just shows that tradition is still a thing in football.
Yeah, exactly, Matthew, exactly. And you know what? James Gardner, when he came on, I didn't really see him too much. I didn't really see him get on the ball at all. But you know what?
I think he'll few touches, but I don't think he'll care that much going into like a Premier League game in a ground like Selhurst Park as well. It's proper Premier League football. And that's what he needs right now to get some experience. And he's 17. He's still only 17 years old. I thought he was like 18 or 19. And so, I mean, it's a few years away from, you know, breaking into the first team. But at this age, getting a game is just going to be the absolute world of good for him.
Yeah, absolutely. And in all honesty, I mean, I'd consider giving him a start in a lesser match. You know, like you said, Crystal Palace isn't exactly an easy ground to go to. So I'm really proud of the way that he got to come on, and we continue traditions at Manchester United. So absolutely fantastic that Manchester United continue to do things that Manchester United should do. Cannot say enough about that. It's part of the reason why I love Manchester United and chose Manchester United as my club is because of the way that they treat youth. Just I want you guys to know that is part of it. So great job, James. Happy to have you in the squad, and I can't wait to see more from you in the near future. But Matthew, we got one person to get to. It's not a sub because none of the subs really did anything. It's Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. How are you going to rate Ole today?
You know what's so weird? The fact that you just said Ole Gunnar Solskjaer at the exact same time as the METV commentator said that. It's like we're living in a matrix or something.
We are.
So yeah, Ole. I'd give him a 9 out of 10. I think the only thing that confused me was bringing on Marcus Rashford. I thought that's far too much of a risk to do that, especially in the last game when we brought Lingard, who, you know, was coming back from a knock. So a bit confused as to that. And we probably maybe should have played Chong, but apart from that, you know, who would have thought they would beat Crystal Palace apart from Saban, or however you pronounce his name in the comments. Apart from that, like, how many people guess a 3-1 win in such a convincing win at that and a brilliant team performance all round, you know, apart from one or two players here and there? Who would have thought that? Not really anyone. So for him to do that, get his 8th away win in a row, which is, I think it's either a new Premier League record or a new Manchester United record.
It's a club record is what I heard.
Yeah, it's a club record. So like first 8 away games, he's won every single one of them. And that just shows that we're so set up to play away from home. Like we're a lot more clinical now than we were under Jose, even in his first season when you saw like Zlatan and those sorts of players missing chances left, right and centre, but luckily we're still creating a few. We are that team who, you know, if we create like 2 chances are we're going to score at least one of them.
Yes.
And I think away from that just sets up perfectly. So yeah, Ole today, you can't really fault him too much, so 9 out of 10 for me.
Listen, I'm giving Ole a 10 out of 10, and I'm going out. I was probably on a small limb here, not a big one. Ole just needs to be given the job. Just give the man the job. Like,
I'll give him a don't announce it. Don't announce it this season, though.
Like, I get. I mean, Matthew, here's the thing. I get waiting until the end of the season.
Yeah.
I get it. But he's got this club playing with 10 injuries that way.
Yeah.
We went in and put in a if we said it yesterday on the preview, but if Mourinho had 10 injuries going into a match, he probably would have just forfeited. There's no way.
He probably would have.
Like, I mean, Ollie's just got the team playing on another level, Matthew. He does. And it's such a refreshing change of heart because now we're getting to the point where we're not even talking about Mourinho anymore. We're just talking about Ole. And who would have thought that would happen this close after the fact? I mean, let me real quick, guys. I'll read out your guys' ratings for Ollie. So let's see here. Chris McTeed said Ollie 10 out of 10 with what he had to deal with. J. Hart said Ollie 9 out of 10. He doesn't complain about the injuries. Great tactics using Pogba on the right and Delo up front, and a broken record of 8 away wins. Yep, absolutely. Moata said Ollie 10. The subs were brilliant at 2-1, settled us at the back, and Rashford stopped them from going all out. Yep, absolutely. Soft said Ollie gets a 10. The tactics were great and set a club record with a decimated squad. Vince Russo said 9 out of 10 for Ollie. Only mistake was bringing Rashford on instead of Chong. Also finally addressed that Pogba Sanchez problem. Yeah, absolutely. And I think that is everybody. Doug, I do agree with you, by the way. I do think that we are ultimately going to see them go down. But guys, I mean, Matthew, real quick. I mean, I want to try and wrap this up here. So, give me your final thoughts on the match, man.
Just a brilliant match all round. I was saying to my friends, if you're missing a game, then you're not really going to miss much. And I think I said in the preview that match of the day will be a bit quiet tonight. That's if it's on. I don't know if it is or not. But I think it was just not really a perfect game because we didn't keep a clean sheet, but it was just such a good game to watch. Like, we're so efficient. Minus 1 or 2 players, it was just a fantastic all-round team performance, and you can't really complain. Jimmy Garner getting a debut, that's some good. Lukaku getting 2 goals, Pogba. We've sort of seen a different Pogba in the last few weeks, or in the last couple of weeks, who's been defensively a lot more sound. And again, that's something, that I don't really think many of us were expecting, that sort of level of discipline from him when it comes to tracking back.
Yeah.
So yeah, all round it was just an absolutely brilliant performance, and Ollie's at the wheel.
Ollie is at the wheel, baby. And guys, the next time that we get 15 likes while we're live, I mean, I knew that this video wasn't getting a lot of views because after a match like that, people are going to want to go to bed because they're just going to need to get to bed. But I mean, United are. I mean, Vince, once again coming in with the hot take. We're in a title race. I mean, I disagree with that, but we are definitely in a top 4 race. That is without question that we are in a top 4 race. And I think without question, we will make the top 4. It's just a matter of, who's going to drop points, because I don't think Manchester United are going to drop many points for the rest of the year. I just really don't. And I really do hope that this is the performance. As much as drawing against Liverpool, despite all the injuries that we had, was a great performance, this is the performance that I look at and I say, Ollie, you deserve this job. We're talking a team with 10 injuries, missing starters left, right, and center, missing 2 of our best midfielders. We are missing 2 of our best attackers. Like, we had so many people that were out. And yet we still managed to somehow come out of this with a big win against a team that is not an easy team to go get a big win against. So, Ollie, I really hope that they come out tomorrow and say you're getting the full-time deal because you deserve it. You have earned it. And John, absolutely fantastic point. We're not even just in a top 4 race. We're in a top 3 race. Yeah, you're absolutely right on that. But just
only like Ben Tottenham are bottom, so they're going to drop points.
Yep. We will. I guarantee you, we will get in the top 4, and it'll probably be because we're probably going to come in 3rd. I could really see us coming in 3rd. But I mean, Matthew, I do have to wrap this up. I've got to get to my clients so I can get them the keys for their brand new house. Really stoked up for them. So Matthew, if I remember correctly, you are now over 200 posters, my friend. Everybody, F's in the chat for Matthew McFadden. Everybody, F's in the chat for Matthew McFadden.
So yeah, I came back from uni, had a 3-hour nap, and then woke up to get my 200th order. I put out a tweet last night saying, just as not a bit of a joke, but as a genius giveaway idea. If you guess the 200 poster correctly, then you'll get it for free. And everyone was guessing stuff like Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, Marcus Rashford. Turns out it was Milan Skriniar from Inter Milan, someone who I've never had a purchase boy before, so safe to say no one won that. So yeah, 200 posters sold. I mean, it's 202 now. Today's been a bit of a mad day. Got 4 orders, so that's really nice to see. And I've also signed up, well, kind of signed up to Google Shopping. So if you search like Manchester United poster, whatever, which I'm doing right now, you'll see a lot of my stuff in Google Shopping now, which is pretty nice because that sort of opens up another door for the store as a whole. So yeah, 200 poster being sold. As I said, I'm going to do a giveaway on Twitter. I'll probably put out a tweet tomorrow. So if you retweet that, then you'll be automatically entered, and I'll pick out a name at completely random. So yeah, thanks to everyone for buying the poster. 200 posters now, onwards and upwards, I guess.
And just in case you guys didn't hear, so Skriniar was the 200th poster. Like, who would have thought that an Italian? From what Matthew told me, it not only was it Skriniar, but it was Skriniar that was bought from someone in Chicago.
I think it was that.
Like,
I'm sure it's Chicago or some place in Illinois, which is just such a weird combination for the 200 poster.
Who would have thought? Who would have thought? I mean, but guys, just genuinely, thank you for joining me on this late night stream. I really and truly appreciate all of you guys joining me. Get ordering Matthew's posters now because they're going like hotcakes. And if you don't already have one, first of all, I don't know what you're doing with your life. But number two, I'm shocked that I even have to keep saying this. Why hasn't everybody bought a poster yet? We all know that my channel gets millions of views. So I don't know how Matthew isn't a millionaire yet.
Channel.
Like,
not a lot of people know that. You know, if you get yourself a poster, then you're going to be on the channel.
It's actually pretty much true.
Yeah.
It's actually pretty much true. Like everybody that's been on the channel that I know of has a poster. Like at least everybody I can think of. I think the only one that might not is Michael.
Yeah, a couple of Michael and Carl, but then again, Carl's getting a poster too. So yeah, seems to be a sort of it's like a ticket into a fun fair or an amusement park.
Yeah,
it's like that's what you need to be on the channel.
Like, well, Sav, I know it's funny to hear me say late when it's only 5:30 here in Arizona, but guys, I do have to get out of here. So I really do hope that you all have a great night, a great day, wherever you're at, whatever you're doing. Keep doing you because I love you guys and you guys are awesome. And what a freaking performance from Manchester United. Let's go Manchester United and let's go Ollie. We'll see you guys all soon.